All right, welcome everybody. Thank you again for being here and joining me for another Command Live class where we're going to go through and talk a little bit about, well, agent sites and landing pages. And so today we are going to jump in, talk a little bit about each of those, the difference between them, when to use one, when to use the other. We are going to toss in a little bit about QR codes at the request of one of your coaches. Eva asked if we could put in how to make a QR code. There's no native way in Command, but I'm happy to show you the way that I do use them. And so we'll get into that. And then we'll build a couple of pages out. We're going to build some landing pages. We're going to build some site pages, show you guys how to edit them. And that should be enough for the class. I don't know if anybody wants to talk about agent sites for more than about 45 minutes. And so I'll open it up for questions there at the end. And if we do have time, we might talk a little bit about save searches and your apps as well. If we have time, we'll see, because that is a piece of the consumer side of things. So without further ado, if there's no questions, all right, then we will get started. I'm going to share my screen. Here we go. Desktop to share. All right. So you should be looking at a picture, or not a picture. You should be looking at my agent site that you can see. This is the home page that pulls up. It has my branding on it, my DBA logo. I'm actually signed in as a consumer right now, which is why you see SD up here as the consumer. You can see this is a consumer logged in right now. If I wasn't logged in, so let me sign out real quick. Looks very similar, just now it does not have those my name in the corner. It's just going to have the login and sign up button. This is where you can also see all of the different pages that I've created for my page, from integrating pieces like this one here. Let's see if it'll pull up. Like that, with utilizing my HomeBot subscription to drop it into this account. There's a couple of different ways we can do that. We're not going to jump in and get too crazy into these. These are a little outside, but I'm happy to set these more customized ones up with you guys. But we're going to be going in and editing a page just like this one. This is one of the most important pages you honestly have on this website, is your contact you page, how you can get passive leads coming in to your website. And we'll talk a little bit more about this one and landing pages when we jump into it. All right, so let's go over to Command, and we're just going to talk a little bit about some of the very, very basic stuff happening on the consumer side of Command. And so when I say consumer, I mean it's actually consumer. The last applet is all consumer facing pieces of our system, which means that it's not meant for you. It's meant for your clients to look at. And so it's one of the biggest things I have to keep in mind when I'm building my own sites and helping agents, is that most of our clients just want to look at homes on our site. And so building out all these pages is not as important as just getting this running, getting it looking nice so that it entices people to do what it's built to do, which is get them to look at homes, save homes, because when they save a home, it asks them to sign in. If they want to see a home, it goes directly to you. Sharing this is a huge resource because it keeps all of the data in your sphere and not giving it out to other companies. And so talk about that with your clients, with your friends, with your family, and tell them that this is a great option for looking at homes, or even just to stay up on markets that you're around. And so let's go in here. And so there's really two sides of the consumer section of Command: your app and your website. And they are the same thing, but one is built to run on a phone and one is built to run in a web browser, on a computer, a tablet, or somewhere else, but in a web browser. They are the same login. If they log into the app, they can log into the website the same way. Same credentials, password, everything. You're not going to see a difference. You don't get to see if they logged into the website. It'll always just say agent site login. And that means for the app, for the website, just know that you're going to see that when people do jump in there and sign up. If they just download it, you're not going to see a notification just for them downloading the app through your link. They have to sign in for you to get any kind of back-end connection with that client. you'll get a notification right up here when that does happen. And you'll also see in the contact list that their contact will have a little green check mark next to their name. And that green check mark is indicating to you that they've connected on the back end of your site or app. All right. Any questions so far about the site or the app? Easy enough. So there are two different pieces that we can build on the site or through the website. And we're not going to talk too much about the app today. Like I said, if we have time at the end, I think there's a really great piece that not enough people are using that we will with save searches. But when we are going to go into the details today, we're going to talk about agent sites and landing pages. And the first thing you have to understand is when to use which one and really what they are. And I think a lot about this of how to describe when to use one over the other. But usually it kind of comes down to a passive or not aggressive. What's the word I'm looking for? Active. More of an active kind of page. And so when we want to use a landing page, it's when it's an active situation, an active event, one that might change, might be updated, might only be going on for a certain amount of time. Those kind of situations, we want to gravitate towards the landing pages. They're a lot easier to edit, to change, and keep the link the same without having to do a lot of extra steps. Now, when we go on to the agent site pages, you want to think more permanent, more passive. These are the link that you might share with people just in general, where you're trying to drive lead generation into these pages and traffic to the page. And the pages that are on there, most likely, if you get somebody to there, they're only going to look at a few of those pages. If somebody's going to look you up, most likely they're going to go to your Facebook page, probably not your website. It's 2021, but you need to be ready for both. And so have your bio in there, make it look nice, but you do not need to overdo it or put a ton of effort into the website. And I'll tell you, go to Zillow's website. Most of it's about houses because that's what people want to look at. And that's what our site is designed after is what Zillow looks like and acts like. And so utilize that intelligent design that they've put into it and push them into going in there and just looking at homes. And that's on the agent site. Remember, that's the longer term thing. So the only things that I really utilize on my agent site or that I suggest that you have, you always want to contact us. And about me is useful, I believe. After that, I think having a reviews page is probably your most powerful page that you can put in here. It is a pretty lengthy setup with some different things going on. And so that's one that we'll do one-on-one. If you're interested in setting up the command review pages, we'll do that one-on-one. It's a process. That's all I have to say. But there's really cool ways to utilize them once you get them into the system and you get past the setup of this. It's great to be able to utilize these in a couple of different ways. We can do lists. We can do, let me see if I have any other ones going on in here. You can do banners that just have a couple going across, which are great. Let me see if I put one in there. There we go. So you can see the banner at the bottom. And when I click over, it goes through the different reviews. So little things like that are well worth your time to set up. But at that point, I would say pause until you absolutely are sure you need something else on your agent site, because a good chance is you actually are going to probably want to use a landing page for most other situations, the most appropriate situations, especially when we're trying to capture leads for an event, for maybe those, we do a ton of giveaways at our offices. This is a perfect tool to use for those giveaway raffles that you can collect information from people. All right. Any questions about the differences between those? Is that they are similar, and there's no necessarily right or wrong answer, but there's usually a better way to go. All right. Well, I think now we can jump in and build some landing pages. And so first, just like I mentioned, we're going to do a giveaway form. Something really simple, something really easy to be able to just jump in and have put it on flyers, put it on your Facebook, put it in your Instagram, all of those where people can just click in and go right to a place where they can fill out their info and register for your giveaway. And so first, I'm just showing you guys, there are 3 tabs at the top: agent sites, landing pages. I have a bunch of landing pages right now in here. They get pretty busy. You can't search them, and we can only see up to 50 at a time. So you can click down here if you have a big long page of them, but it is helpful on here to just see that you can see your lead counts that come into the landing pages, and find old ones if you want to come over and say deactivate a page, delete, change, but you can edit these pages right from here. And that's one of the biggest bonuses to these, is the editing is very easy. You don't have to really do anything else except for just hit the edit button. On the website, it's a little different. I'm gonna show you that here after we build a page. So to start, we're gonna hit create a new page. And since we're doing it on a landing page, we want to do this for the event. It's just a short-term time period. And so landing page is our best option. We're going to hit create page. The first step is always the same, no matter what we're doing, landing page or agent site page. First step is always to change the title. And so we're going to call this December Giveaway Lead Form. And I want to be specific in the name and clear in the name around what this is coming from. And the reason is when somebody comes in through this specific page, the first note in there, if it's a new contact, the first note will tell you that it's from this page based on the title of the page. So if you leave it in there just saying new title page or new landing page template, gets kind of confusing to know where that lead came from, especially if you have a giveaway going on and you do an open house that weekend and you have 2 pages firing leads into your account. It can get difficult. So make sure you change the title, because it will put that note into their timeline for that contact that'll tell you what lead form they filled out based on the title of it on here. And so first step, always change your title. It's easy to forget. All right. Now we're going to build the page, and we have these 10 different widgets for the landing pages. The widgets, some of them are the same on the agent sites and the landing pages. Most of them are different. We have different options because, again, it's different use. And on here, I always like to start with the branded header at the very top. And so all I'm going to do is click and hold my mouse and drag the branded header right over to the web page. And you can see it updates the preview instantly for me, so I can see my info. This is just a small banner across the top for this page. It's really simple. You can add in more branding if you'd like. You can see the full agent branding gives a little bit more information. Not my favorite at the top of a page, so I'm going to delete it out by clicking on this widget, and then in the top corner I get the little trash can to take it out. And one thing I always put into is not a lead form, is my footer. Where's my footer? That is the footer, my legal footer. And so when I drag this in, you might notice a green line showing up when I bring a widget in. That green line tells us where it's falling in our design. And you can see, since I only have one widget in there, it has to go below it, or I can squeeze it above it. And you can see the green line jumps to the top. But the footer I like to put at the bottom. And I'm putting that in first because sometimes if you put another one in, it's a pain to try and get that footer into the bottom to get the line all the way to the bottom. Sometimes it's a pain. So I always start with my header and my footer at the start, and then I'll drop my in-betweens in between those 2 pieces so I have the top and bottom ready. This keeps us compliant, drops in your logo, drops in your compliant logo, puts in your different social media links you have from your marketing profile. And as always, it has the notorious each Keller Williams office is independently owned and operated. Just to be very clear, our OPs love that. So now let's drop in a lead form. And the lead form is just what we're going to use to collect the information. There's not a lot of freedom on these. Everyone, I get asked all the time, can we change it? Can I do this? The answer is no. Just can't do it. I'm sorry. This is all we got. And to be honest, most people don't want to fill out any more than this, if this at all. And so remember, from the consumer standpoint, if you're a consumer, Do you love going in and answering what your address is and all this stuff from a link you clicked on from Facebook? Probably not. And if you're texting a link, definitely not. So remember, from a consumer's point of view, this can be very helpful from just leaving it like this. Don't keep it simple. Keep it simple. This is very thought out design from Keller Williams, and it's intentional. And so try and just trust the intention of the people who are much smarter than us who built all this, or at least smarter than me, that's for sure. All right. Now, this is a really basic page. I can add in some cooler stuff. If I was doing maybe an open house page, I might put in a market snapshot. I might put in a listing. If I'm doing a listing, it's my listing, I can make a really pretty page right from here. We might do that in a minute if we have time. But now that I have my basic widget set up, I need to configure each widget. Now down at the bottom, we have the button that says configure widgets. And so I'm going to click on configure widgets, and it's going to drop me in to the top header text. And I'm just going to show you the first main widget page by clicking on the small arrow pointing to the left near the word lead at the top over here. And you can see these three widgets, they're ready to go. I could run this page as it is because it drops in all the information for me. Sometimes you'll see red X's here, which will tell you that you need to put information in before you can publish the page. With these three though, we can see they're already ready to go, but it's always a good idea to click through, make sure the info is exactly what you want. So let's do that now. So I clicked on branded header, and I can see there's no title in here. And so I'm gonna put in here the title that I want people to see. And this is, you know, fancy coffee maker give away. I don't know what we're giving away this time. I think a coffee maker was last time. Coffee has 2 E's. Oh, of course. You are limited in these. If you didn't notice, that's why I was messing up my text. So you only have 30 characters at the title, but that should work. Just make sure that you label it here so people know what page they're going to. And down at the very bottom, the key step is to hit save and apply. And you'll see it apply right into the design preview over on the left side here. And we see our title now at the top, Fancy Coffee Giveaway. I'm going to go up to the top right of the screen, and there's a little 1 of 3 for my widgets and an arrow pointing to the right. I'll then click on that arrow pointing to the right. Now I'm down to my lead form, which the lead form is really simple. It's just the header text on there. And so instead of interested, let's talk, doesn't make sense for a giveaway. We want to put in something that's more appropriate here. And so I might say something really simple like, enter to win a Peloton. We did a Peloton giveaway one time as well. That one was cool. I think I spelled Peloton wrong every time I did it, but that's okay. We're going to hit save and apply. And there we go. Enter to win a Peloton bike. And we have our lead form capture. Last step is to click the arrow to the right again to end us at the footer widget. Everything's already filled out there for us from our marketing profile. So the only reason why we would need to change something in here is if you wanted to have it show up differently. Personally, I'm usually good with my footer the way it comes from my marketing profile because I am up to date with keeping my marketing profile up to date. And so I'm just going to hit save and apply for good measure. Now, the last little trick to make sure your landing page behaves appropriately is to come back up to the top where we click that left arrow at the very beginning to get us back to the main widgets page. And now you can see at the very bottom, we have the word done. So we click on done and our page is now ready to publish. So we're going to click on publish page. It's going to ask me, are you sure, Stephen? And don't be afraid of publishing your landing pages. The only way people can get to this page is if they have the link. And so if you haven't shared the link with anybody, nobody's going to see it. So you can do your testing, you can build out pages, you can play around, break them, mess them up, see what they do. Go in there and play with them if you need to. I'm sure after a few, you'll be like, okay, these are pretty boring and work the same every time. We're going to update our page, and then it's going to send us right back to the main consumer page. And so let's take a look at our cool new page by clicking on landing pages, since we built the landing page, and we should see December giveaway lead form right up there at the top. Now, before we jump in, we can also do one additional piece of editing, which we can change the URL. Not all of it, but we can change a good amount. So it's always going to say pages.kw.com/your name/your user or your KWUID/whatever we want. And so here I can put in December giveaway and hit create. And you'll see now I have that nice URL that says, like I said before, all the information at the front, and then decembergiveaway.html. And so when I click over here, we'll open up that page, and here it is, our quick little lead form. The one thing, I know it kind of looks weird on, I'm sure it looks weird on my Zoom screen because it looks weird on my monitor over here. Most people will see these on their phone, and they are built to size out to the dimensions of a phone. So you can see I switched over to the look of an iPhone X over here, and you can see it resizes everything for you so that it fits onto a phone or a tablet appropriately. So that's another reason why using these different widgets can be really beneficial, because they're built out to be pretty smart and handle lots of diverse situations. Phones, tablets, computers. It's going to show up in any of those places pretty similarly, and almost always looks the best on a phone. I'll admit that. Most people do this on their phone, and so I am happy about that. All right, let's see. Now I was having a little trouble earlier today with my lead form capture, and so let me just let's see if we can run this through. Let's see, we'll do Gentris. All right, let's see if we can get this to fire off right away. Oh, wrong button. All right, we'll see if that works. What happens is we should get a little notification up here at the top right of our screen when anybody fills out one of those. Let's see. I have in the past seen that it takes a little bit of time for the connection to activate after you've created a brand new page. So I usually recommend going back in about an hour later and seeing if it will pull that lead in. I've found that on phones, it works almost immediately. Let me see if I can actually switch it around. But if you have any trouble with this, let me know, and we will get it figured out together. If you're having any issues with the capture or the, here we go. And that's usually the problem that I've been seeing. You see that this doesn't show up. And I'm guessing it's because of one of my pop-up blockers of why this is not working. And if you don't go through that verification process, it doesn't seem like we get a full send on here. And so just remember that when you are going through to test this. All right. Any questions about that landing page, or are you ready to see another one be built?
I have a question, Stephen.
Please, Andrew, what's up?
So how do you update your marketing profile? Because I tried to do the daylight savings time and I tagged all my people, but I couldn't send it because I didn't have legal footers. So
Gotcha. That's a bummer.
I know.
Let me show you real quick how to do it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So if we go up in here and we click on our name and go to settings, we want to edit our marketing profile in here because that's where it's going to pull that info from. And that footer is going to, you know what it probably was, Kendra, is your brokerage license ID. That's one of the pieces that needs to be in there, and it's not in there by default. You need to manually add it. And so you come into settings, and over to the left side, you click on connect settings. And then there's the only option in there, the marketing profile. And so not only do you want to remember to put in your own brokerage number, your own license number here, but scroll down to the brokerage section and make sure you have the brokerage number here as well. And so I don't know if you can see that on here, but Kendra, you and I, that one is the same for us. So if you write that number down, that's the number you need to use as well at downtown. And so EC 102727 or 10,000. Let's see, that's 10,000. All right. Any other questions? All right. So let's build out another quick page just to see some of the other widgets on the landing page side, because I really love the widgets in here, especially when it comes to listings. I just am head over heels for the listing widget, to be honest. It looks nice and it's fast. And that's what I like, is I don't have to spend a ton of time doing this. You can see I'm starting the same way. Branded header at the top, legal footer next, slide in the listing widget right in between them. And now it loads in with the same default 300 Hilltop listing every time. And so we have to come in and change that. And remember that we're only going to have access to the properties that are active through this system. And so if it's expired, withdrawn, not listed at all, or even coming soon, you're not going to find it on this page. So you want to make this after it's active or while it is active. And so it's a really simple widget, but we need to input some information into it. So we're going to hit configure widgets. And you can see this listing one does not have the green check mark like we want. And so we have to go in there and click on the listing, and we have to add that listing in. So we're going to browse one, and let's see. I had a listing. What listing do I have? Does anybody have a listing now? Active? Jessica? Probably walked away from her computer right when I needed her. All right, so I'm pulling up one in my app right now that I'll be sure that it's active. This is a nationwide search as well, so you can do this for any place that we have a connection into the MLS. Oh yeah, let's do that listing. All right, so you can search by property address, MLS number, or KWLS ID. I don't recommend doing that because it's hard to find. MLS number works really well because the addresses, it's nationwide, so sometimes it pops up stuff from everywhere. Well, let's just do the property address since that's usually the easiest to get started with. And where's the address? All right, this one will work. 1300 Pitkin Street, Aurora, Colorado. So I'm just going to type it out like that, no commas, nothing like that, and see which ones come up. And there's the one I'm looking for. Good things to check in here is make sure that the listing agent is the one that you expect it to be, because sometimes older ones will show up in here that don't have pictures, and it's usually from something that went wrong. And so just be careful, make sure that you're just checking the information. It's easy to just select something, but you can see this is MLS wide. It's not a KW person I have to choose. I have access to any of these, and you don't need permission to make a page like this for somebody else, because their information is going to be just put in there from saying that the listing is provided by, and there is a line in here somewhere in the page that says that in there. But it takes a moment, especially on Zoom, And then we can come in and make some changes in here. We can choose the header image, the first one that shows up. So I'm just going to switch that one. And that's the only thing that we have to choose. Once we hit save and apply, it's going to push all of that into my landing page and make me a pretty little landing page for, you guys let me break the first rule. Geez, you guys aren't even paying attention. I didn't even change the title. Pickens Street, Aurora. Right. And so now you can see I picked that pretty picture there for my listing. It updates all the information here, drops in the remarks for us from the listing, adds the gallery in there so people can take a look, even gives them a map, and all of this stays right here with me. Now, this is a great page to have, especially for people that or listings that you're doing an open house for. I might do something like this, but remember, I could easily add in more widgets. I could come in here and say, well, maybe I want a lead form on this page too, and put it in at the top for my open house and have all that information available for the people that are looking at this page at the open house. I might also add a market snap, which market snaps are a super cool way to add some simple data. Let's see, did it add it in there? But to add some data into our presentation here from the neighborhood level. And so if we come down, and of course we have to configure this one, and we're going to click on our market snap, and we'll put in here, let me see if I can find that neighborhood for this listing. And all I'm doing is just looking at the listing on the KW app right now. So I just pulled up the listing. I'm looking at it now because that'll tell me what neighborhood it's in. And I can see it's on Kirkgard Acres. So we're going to label it that, Kirkgard Acres. And the zip code we're going to put in as 80011. And then we'll select the neighborhood that we can find. Downside here is, I don't know why they did this, but it's not in alphabetical order. So finding your neighborhood can sometimes be a pain, but it will be in there. I just passed the one I wanted. Here we go. We're going to hit save and apply and see what kind of data it comes up with. I'm pretty confident that in this area of Aurora, we're going to have plenty of data and it will show up with great stuff. If you run one of these in a different area that might not have as many listings, might have a difficult MLS that doesn't want to share more than just active information. There's a lot of factors in here, but sometimes the data doesn't look great. So always check it before. And so here, we actually just don't have a lot of data in there. Only one active listing means that no pending listings right now. We don't have much sold statistics. And the average sold price in there is from, it looks like only one listing. So I would probably remove those stats because those are really boring stats because it really doesn't have the data to support anything more interesting. I don't think it's not representative of anything. It's just not representing anything but maybe one listing, which not much for stats there. Just check them. That's all I want to say on that level is make sure that they're stats that you want to project out onto something, especially if you're sharing this with the person that you're doing the listing. If it is their listing, make sure the stats look good, that you're displaying information that is helpful for getting that listing movement. This I don't think is helpful. I would remove this if this was my listing. All right. Any questions about the widgets in here, about creating pages as landing pages? Are there any questions in here? Now I saved this for last because I don't really recommend doing it, but you can go pretty manual at this as well. Where you notice that the widgets do take up a good amount of space in here, but if you minimize the widget menu, we get this content blocks menu where we can build out some more interesting stuff. And by more interesting, I mean more manual things. So I can put in my own image and put it in there, and it's a pain to center them. It's a pain to get the alignment going, which is why I use a lot of the widgets in those they give me the alignment. But you can come in here, add pictures. I can add just straight text. One trick that I do like with the text is if I go into like Microsoft Word, change all my fonts and colors and all that fun stuff, copy it all and paste it in here, most of the formatting will move over. And so if you're doing like a blog, or if you're doing something that's very text heavy, the text box is great to use for like one-off blogs or something that you're updating all the time or sharing all the time of snippets of information. Because remember, this is our active piece. These pages are usually up for a time and then they come down and aren't usually shared again because it's a different lead gen situation that we're going to the next landing page for. If I'm building a generic page, one that's just going to sit around like a testimonial capture page, things like that, I'll put on my regular agent site. And these text boxes, we can get creative. The advanced level is to start dropping like code blocks and embedded code into these text boxes, which can make some really interesting landing pages as well. If that sounds like a foreign language to you and I'm starting to talk a different way, don't worry about it. We can work on that when you get to that level. But for now, if you don't go chasing the content blocks, stick to the widgets that you're used to. No, nobody, no laugh on that.
That is hilarious. I'm sorry.
I'm glad somebody got that. I hope you all got it, but it was just because you were on mute I didn't hear. That's got it.
Yeah, you didn't get to hear the laugh.
All right. Oh, these text boxes are already giving me issues. A couple of other things. There is a back button that is sometimes useful. We're going to see if it'll be useful for us in here. There we go. Kind of useful. But I'll tell you, if you run into issues like this, where you see this text is just, these boxes don't want to delete, you're running into issues, I'll just be honest, most of the time I just restart. If I start getting a bunch of formatting stuff, because you'll see if I grab something and pull it around, sometimes it'll get funky on you. If that happens, there's not a lot of, if you can't get the undo to work, it means you get to start over. And so that's the other beauty of the widgets, is that they're forgiving in the fact that they just don't take that long. We built this page in a couple of minutes. As long as you kind of know the listing you want to use, it's pretty easy to put together these pages. And we'll finish this one up by just double checking our widgets, coming through, everybody's green, click on done and publish the page. And we want to update it, yes. All right. And from there, we can go in, do the same thing with the URL if we would like, change it up. I'll usually put the address in there if I'm doing something specific for a listing. And this just takes a moment. You can see it should load up my title, 1300 Pitkin Street, Aurora. And there's my pretty little page. Let's see what I put down here. All right. Easy enough. Now, let's build an agent site page. Because really, you're going to see they almost look identical. And there's really just a few steps after you design it that are the necessary ones to learn and that are a little different than the landing page. So we're going to jump in and do the agent site pages now, to create a new sub page where it's going to be in that menu on our normal agent website. This one. So we're going to take a look at one of these pages, or building one. So again, we start with the title, but you see it looks really similar. Let's see, we were gonna build let's do a testimonial capture. This is to bring in testimonials, which to use the testimonial carousels and so the testimonial list and carousel widgets, you have to first have testimonials in the system, which the only way to do that is to put them in through the capture form. And so here you'll notice I don't have a branded header. And the reason is the branding at the top stays there. That's already there on every page, so you don't need to build out this search bar and branded header up here. That's gonna show up anyway on that page. So we can start right with our testimonial capture form. So same thing, click and drag. It drops in my form. I am going to just see if there's anything else. I don't need a contact form on here. I might put in my download my app, but it's really not appropriate on this page. And the footer will also be in there. So we don't need to worry about those on here. We just need to build out this page, and the process is similar. We're going to come down to the bottom, configure widgets, click on the widget, because even though it's green, we do not want to run it the way it looks now, because it's all the defaulted information. So the best thing that you can do is kind of just pay attention to where the different pieces of text show up, because it says team name, but all that is just a text box that's going to show up somewhere. So you want to make sure it says what you want it to say. I'm going to just make it obvious so that you guys can see where that is changing when we say team name opposed to headline. Notice we do have character limits on some of these, so you have to be a little bit careful on those. The description, excuse me, is this thank you part, the sub paragraph at the top. That's your description there. So you can leave that one in if you'd like, or write your own, edit your own. Again, you are limited in here to 200 characters. Review headline is going to be how would you rate your experience? So that's that middle piece there. You can change that up. And then inside the review, you can actually write what that grayed out text will say that shows up in the review box before they start typing. So some prompting questions. How was your experience with your agent? How did they help you through each stage of the process? I kind of really like all this stuff on its own, especially if you're just collecting things from regular residential buy-sell transactions. This is what it's built for. And it's such an easy plug and play for those agents. And many of you are sitting in that position. And so I love this kind of right out of the box. I'm just going to hit save and apply. You can see the one change I made, tell us how we did, got put right in there. They get to choose all the stars. And you see the team name actually comes down in here where it says, how would you rate your experience with, which is this review headline. And it drops in my name in there, the Delicio Property Services or whatever I put into the team name. So just be aware of that at the top there, is that it actually shows up down here towards the bottom where they're rating on that scale of the stars. And then they can write their review. You can see all the information is necessary for them to put in. It does ask for their address. You can tell them, and you can get away with only putting in like city and state, which is usually what I do, because I actually don't really send this link out to many of my clients. I send them my Facebook link or my Google link, and then I go in there and personally copy theirs and just I put it into this page that I've made already, so it goes into the command system. And so when I kind of mentioned earlier how it's a long process with testimonials, it's kind of wise because it has to go in through this page and then it lives in the system, and then you can build out the widgets after that. But they have to go in through here. And so a lot of my reviews exist on Facebook, and I just translate them right into here. You have to do it manually, putting in the client's info, copying and pasting the review. I'm always at 5 stars because not all of them have 5 stars. And the bottom piece, I always choose yes as well. All right, enough about this simple page. Let's hit save changes, because I love these pages because they are basic. They don't need much because all of the extra accoutrement around the sides is already done for you. And so we're going to click done down at the bottom for my widget. And I'm going to hit save changes. I'm just checking my title. We're good there. And it says, would you like to continue to sitemap settings to publish your page? If I say no, it's going to put me right back to the consumer pages. If I say yes, it's going to drop me into a sub page of consumer where I need to go, because I need to go into that sub page so I can actually put this on my site. Because when I build out a web page, they are by default not active on the site. We have to go in and activate them onto a page. And this question is asking you, do you want to be put in the place that you need to do that? And so most often the answer is yes. You say yes at this point. And then it drops us onto that specific page. But just in case, I want to show you guys how to get there if you don't go through that, that pathway of answering yes. You can hit consumer, because you see it's always in consumer when we're dealing with this side of command. Hey, there's our capture form, and you'll notice the I is grayed out. And it's grayed out because it's not active. And you can see over here, this is not an active subpage. And so we need to activate it. And to do so, we go up to Site and App Settings. So this little set of text, it's not even a button, but it is something we click. We click Site and App Settings. And then we have the 5 different tabs across the top that can edit our pages. And we don't need to worry about any of the first 4. We want to go straight to agent site pages, which this is the page that yes answer dropped us on before. And so now we get a little preview of our pages. You might notice the agent site menu over here is the same menu that you see when I hit the drop-down box right over here, all the way down to the order of it, where if I wanted the marketing update to show up below the blog, all I have to do is just pull that down and change the order. I can also come in and change that marketing update information, the page title, the slug, which is what shows up at the end of the URL, or the SEO. We can change all of that for the active pages. But if I want to change the marketing update page to a different one, I would have to come in here, and it's really faint, but when you click on a page, you'll see these 3 little dots show up about 4 inches to the right. And so you can see that on these ones. And if I come into the market update page and I want to change it, I'm going to hit select page. And here's a list of all my different pages that I've made in the past, so I can update the different one if I have a new one to put in there. My testimonial capture form doesn't make sense on a page that's called market update though. So maybe I want to make a brand new page instead of editing one. So I'll click on just add a page at the bottom. And you'll see, holy buckets, it looks almost the same as editing the page. We click on the testimonial capture and hit continue. And now I just need to change the different places or the different titles on the page details. And so our page title is going to be Leave a Review. And here we're going to put Leave a Review. And in the SEO, we're just going to put Leave a review of Stephen Delisio and Delisio properties. Okay, something simple, not too crazy. SEO, you're just trying to think about what somebody would search to get to a page like that and put it into your SEO. That's all. Have a couple of phrases. Shouldn't spend too much time doing that. But bingo, that's it. Let's go over to the website and test it out. Well, we don't see it yet because we have to refresh the page to give it a chance to load the new info. But as we refresh and wait, and take a look at our new menu, you can see marketing update is now down below blog, and leave a review is our last page on there. Let's check it out. Here we go. There's our leave a review page. Oops, I did tuck that form in there. Silly me. But you see it's all filled out for us. We can put in our reviews. We can send this over to people. We can send it to our clients and send them directly here. But like I said, I'm mostly the one personally that fills this out because people like things they're used to, and they're used to Facebook, and they'll do reviews on Facebook. And I like to get reviews from wherever I can get them. And so if they'll do it on Facebook, do it on Facebook. Great. And then I just translate it into here for my use inside of Command. And honestly, the long reviews that they write you a whole like novel don't really work well in here. I would make like a whole separate page if that was just for that review. But the snippets that you can get, grabbing 1 or 2 sentences for these reviews look great. They can be put all over inside of Command. I'm trying to see if I have a long one in here so you guys can see it. I don't, darn. But these shorter little ones are great to just toss in using the carousel that has the 3 different ones are great to just like slide into different pages. But your agent site, I even think mine is too busy. You can get away with only really building out a couple of pages, and really you need only a few. Contact us, about me. I like having leave a review. I think it's a pretty important one. These other ones are pretty fancy stuff, like the mortgage calculator. I don't think anybody uses it on my website. It's there, but I like the one in your app a lot better because there is one inside of the KW app for your clients to use. It shows up on every listing they look at, actually. And so, fantastic tool in there. If you don't know where it is, get in your app and find it yourself. Just kidding. It's just in the more option, and you'll see in there, there's some different tools that can help your clients, like the affordability tool, which is the mortgage calculator. Alrighty, everyone. What questions do you have about agent sites?
I'm good on that, Stephen.
Whew, this is a tough one. So I'm happy that I'm getting through it, because these agent sites can throw you for a loop. All right. Well, that is going to have to be our wrap up, because it's almost 3 o'clock. But today we talked about agent site pages, landing pages, and a little bit about your app and how those are interacting together. We also went and talked about when to use a landing page and when to use an agent site page. And we finished up with a nice set of examples showing you how to make a lead form as a landing page, how to make a listing page as a landing page, and then how to make a testimonial capture form as an agent site page that stays on your agent site. As always, if any of this is sounding a little too hard, or that the video didn't cover exactly what you needed, then please make that one-on-one time with me. I love building sites with people. There are a lot we can do with them. It just takes some time and some testing sometimes. Sometimes it changes on us. But I am here to support you and help you through all these journeys, to help you with this stuff. And so schedule that time on here. Join me every Monday at 2 o'clock so that you can learn even more of this stuff. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate you joining in and participating in the class. I will see you all very soon.
Hey, Stephen. Stephen.
Yes.
Yes.